Millia Lee, thank you so much for being here. It's an absolute privilege to be able to get on a call with you and talk about your experience of what's been a very long journey from one-on-one and from weeks in my group program as well. Uh, just to start off, I just want to say thanks so much for being in, Mills.
Such a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
What I want to start off with is to paint me a picture of what life was like before coaching and what your internal struggles were and what your external struggles were. Just paint us a picture of what life was like before coaching.
Okay, so prior to coaching, I was feeling very just dissatisfied with the way that my life was. Financially, I wasn't happy at all. I was emotionally, although at the time I wouldn't have called it that, but it was a lot of suppression in my emotions, and I wasn't feeling a lot of what was going on for me in my life. And yeah, I wasn't clear at all. I just really felt stuck and not sure what to do about that, but that something needed to change. With my work as well, although I wouldn't say I was super clear on that either. That all was about coming into the feeling. So I was like a non-feeling human, stressed about money basically. and I started following you on Instagram, and I just loved seeing how you worked and all that you offered, and it's like, yeah, let's do this. I need something like this. It was very cool to do that.
Yeah, I have two questions actually. One is, what was it like investing in my coaching at a time in your life when you were financially stressed?
My mind, it definitely was. There was no doubt. Like I'm very much, as I say, I don't feel, but like when I know I'm going to do something, so there was that element of just ignore all that, I'm doing this. But yeah, there was definitely fear around the financial and how it was going to work, how I was going to make the payments or whatever. But it's never actually been a problem looking back on everything we've done together.
And isn't that
Yeah.
the way, like when you really commit and choose to make an investment, you burn the boats and there's no looking back and you rise to the occasion because it's like, well, this is it. And I think that happens a lot of like, oh, I'm investing this money. I'm going to normalize this standard of myself that I'm worthy of this, and I'm going to make these habits that I crave to be in my life a reality. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, definitely.
So
Absolutely.
good. And Millia, tell me about before going into coaching, how that suppression of emotion affected life on the outside.
Mm. Well, I mean, this is looking back after everything that we've done. At the time, I wouldn't say I really understood any of it. But I didn't cry for a really long time. And yeah, I think I was just really numb to everything except for my kids. I was able to dip into the emotions with my kids. But even still, like that's become deeper as I've done more coaching as well. Yeah, and I'm very conscious that this is something in me that I'm always going to have to work on. Maybe it's something in everybody, I don't know, but um, there is a deep awareness to really listen to how I'm feeling now, and my brain still wants to fight that sometimes, but um, yeah, there was none of that before. Like,
Mm,
it was just, I've got to do this, and I still catch myself doing that.
yeah.
But at least there is an awareness when something isn't right now. I can actually be like, something needs to shift. I need to pay attention. What do I need to pay attention to? And I wouldn't have done that before. And you know, feeling and wanting things as well for myself is part of that. And I was, you know, too afraid to consider what I wanted. So that, yeah, I just did what I was
Yeah,
doing.
I'm hearing you. I remember when we first started and after our first few initial sessions and we got on the same wavelength, the tears came.
Mm,
And we spent months on one-on-one calls, hours of one-on-one calls, just you processing those emotions.
yeah, years and years of not of not acknowledging myself, um, living in like just survival mode and not even considering what would I like for my life.
Yeah. And we really
Yeah.
shifted um, your nervous system and recalibrated in a very practical way from emotional suppression and living in survival mode where your flight and fight response is on all the time and you perform really well in high pressure situations, but when things settle down and calm down, then this cycle begins where we crave more chaos, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I found that in our coaching we found what Millia deeply wants, what nurtures her soul, and how can we
Mm.
take action on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm,
Which has been so amazing. Like for me, like the simplest thing for me is I just need to go into nature
yes.
or a half hour or an hour and yeah, just connect because I will, yeah, just keep on going. I won't stop. I won't stop. And then
Yeah.
when I do stop, I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'll just watch Netflix.
Oh, so
Um,
so true. Like, and I think we all have those coping mechanisms that are just not really serving us, but we fall into because they're
mhm.
easy and we haven't thought through with like, oh, actually, what genuinely rests my soul is getting out in nature or going for a walk with my kids or just sleeping with my phone off, like, and just getting some shut eye. And I
Yeah,
think this kind of like awareness is so useful because we're social creatures that look at other people online and it's easy to compare our lives to others, right? Especially
yeah,
with Instagram. And when we get in touch with what really makes Milia or anyone watching this happy, it's often quite simple things. It's not
yeah,
like you're asking for, wildly big ideas of like private jets and designer clothes and these kinds of things. It's quite more simple and
mm,
accessible, and we can give ourselves permission to dive into those things on a day-to-day basis.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Which is, yeah, and that idea of simple, we
Yeah,
get so caught up in, you know, wanting more, needing more. And yeah, and I sometimes go, well, maybe I'm just a little bit boring. I just like to sit and crochet and sit on the grass and crochet. Yeah, that's quite nice. Or I go like snorkeling. I really love doing that by
hmm
myself or with my kids. And that's just, it's really simple. It's nothing grand. Um, yeah,
yeah,
I'm grateful
yeah.
to have these simple things that I can turn to that aren't hard. Yeah.
And I think that talks to our non-negotiables, right? Of
Mm.
what are the practical things that you can do on a day-to-day basis that serve the best version of yourself? And everyone's looks a little bit different, but in the beginning, people are going through big change and transformation and need a rock to lean on through that anxiety of
Mm.
uncertainty and so on. So, did you find clarifying your non-negotiables and practicing them helped you recalibrate your system?
Yes. Yeah. I loved all this, like all the tools to be able to get to this place where life was in flow. Like even I'm just like, have I thought about my non-negotiables this week? And I haven't journaled as much as I would have liked to this week. And then, you know, forgiving myself for that. But I drink my water every day without any trouble. And I have 8 hours sleep a night pretty much every day without any trouble. I don't even think about them anymore, but they were there in that non-negotiables. I had to really make sure that I was doing that at first. Same with diet. I still could make improvements. I just love food way too much, but even just the more simple things. Yeah, and being in nature every day. And I was being really hard on myself at first with that one. I was like, half an hour in nature every day. And when I had my kids, sometimes I wouldn't make that, and I'd get really down because I just need that half an hour. But realizing I walk my dog twice a day and I live in this beautiful space. And if I switch off my mind and walk my dog and I take note of nature around me, I can actually utilize that time rather than thinking about my busy day ahead and all the things that come with
And
that. So
that word busy is the enemy of our earthly mission. You know, we all have an earthly mission, but busyness, distraction is the enemy of that. And we are all so busy. I see it, Millia, all the time. And it's just getting more frequent with every person that comes into my world
yeah.
of I'm busy, I don't have the time. And then we numb out, and then we don't address that stuff, and then we push the emotions down.
Yep. Yeah, 100%.
Mm.
Yeah, like, and I'm even today, I've worked today and I had a lovely day at work, and I've come home and I'm like, maybe I'll just watch some Netflix.
Mhm.
But I know how busy my week is that's coming towards me. And it's not more than I can handle. I can handle it. But I do have a wedding on this weekend and an extra shift at my other job. And I'm actually going to utilize my evening just to get all my prep done for next week's work instead of later in the week, and just being conscious of how I can do that. And I'll still have time to go for a walk on the beach with my dog and to give myself something decent and delicious for dinner. But just really being conscious around that rather than just watching 3 hours of Netflix, because I really want to finish a season. That's, how important is that? But
So true.
my mind really
And
wants
like
to
we've spoken about, it's not about banishing, like we all want a safe escape, and that's okay. But it's bringing that consciousness to your energy management and time management that I think has been really helpful for you, because especially with like your long-term goals, which have been like writing more, getting out in nature more, parenting in your way, communicating, receiving help. And with all these big goals, they kind of fall down if we don't have that fundamental base laid out, like the sleep, hydration, and exercise, like the meditation and journaling. And I find that whenever we get too overwhelmed by the big goals, we go back to the non-negotiables.
Yeah.
And we often see that, oh, I haven't been practicing them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, it's always good to have that to come back to, for sure.
Yeah. So good to hear. And you found that over this journey, you've felt more alive and in touch with your energy and less numb.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I can see I often will still like block things, and because I can do everything on my own, I don't need anyone to help me. And I know and I feel that that's not true, and there's just this protective barrier I'm still trying to put around myself, but I'm going to have to keep working very hard to open up to receiving support. And it's been great working with you and learning to be vulnerable. And like when I was first going to start with you, it was a group program, but I was super nervous because I wasn't willing to open up to people I didn't know. And yeah, and now I've done that. Actually wasn't scary at all. Everyone was so amazing and supportive, and we're all on a journey, and it didn't matter what age we were or, what life looks like for us. We've all got something. Everyone's got something to work on. So, but yeah, just that, letting, allowing people in to help. But yeah, being very conscious of that because that's something still trying to protect myself. But yeah, I've gone off track, sorry.
No, that's great. I'm just listening and thinking about anyone that's considering joining the group program. It's very normal to be nervous about sharing and being in that group setting, but you found it very beneficial and all of those fears dropped away once you got in there.
Yeah, like first week there was no fear in sharing, because when everyone comes with that same intention and they've all got something heavy they're carrying, and you open up and facilitate such an open, beautiful space, but you all the fears drop away. It's not like it's robotic and it's your turn to talk and like, it's very open, and everyone's open to that. So well, I felt everyone was. So yeah,
Thank
it
you,
was a really
Millia.
great
I appreciate
experience.
that so much. I really do.
Yeah.
So tell me about the biggest internal wins that have just become a normal part of your life nowadays because of the coaching.
Well, going back to the feeling, that would be my biggest. And at the moment, I have got something in my life that I'm having a struggle between thought and feeling, and I already know the answer. I'm still trying to convince my brain to let go. But to have that knowledge and to feel into anything, really, anything that comes up in my life, and I can actually go to a place and be able to journal, or it's not necessarily even journaling. I can just ask myself, and I know I can feel what's real, and that's been the biggest internal shift. And often I'll get like, I want to be this, or I want to do that, and I actually get, not now. Like, I have all these big dreams. It's like it's coming, or it may not. It may just actually not ever come, and that's okay. So that's been huge as well. Just not having this big pressure on myself to start a dance school or a coaching practice of my own. Like, I actually those two things are now like, not now, maybe never. But to truly feel so great about my writing, which I haven't felt in such a long time. And there's a reason for everything, like yeah, there's a reason that, I'm doing a particular job, or that things unravel in a particular way. It's like, it's all out of my hands, really. I've just got to stay true to what shows up. And that's sometimes having really harsh and firm boundaries, which has also been a huge thing for me, majorly in the last 6 months. And I feel very empowered in myself now, because, I'm not going to take any more of other people's energies that are really, harmful to me, to just satisfy and please them, because being a people pleaser, it's very easy to want to always be nice and not upset anyone. But I found that I can actually be true to myself, and I'm not really being mean to somebody by saying, no, this is my boundary. I'm not going to lower that. It has to stay that way. And it seems to be respected, which is really lovely too. So that's external, I suppose, but come from internal. And yeah,
Thank
I
you
feel
for
like
sharing
that's
that.
major.
I think there is so much there, and we only have a short time to talk here, Millia, but you've done a great job in just summarizing some of those big wins. So thank you so much for that. And we've done a lot of work together around those boundaries, around consolidating your scared and sacred voice, your intellect and your intuition, and making decisions from a place which are truly yours, like in response to life, not just a reaction to life, whether that's with work or whether that's with finances, whether that's with your kids, whether that's with the choice of sitting down and watching Netflix or going out in nature. Like, and I think that says a lot about the the process of authenticity from coaching. Like
Mm.
there isn't a step-by-step thing I give you in coaching.
Mm.
It's more I ask you questions, right, that call forward answers that work for you.
Yeah. Yeah, the answers are already there. You just can't come to it on your own. Like there's so much that I wouldn't have even known where to start had you not been able to ask the question,
Wow.
support what was coming out of me. You know, because it was so much. I could never have done that alone. Never would have known.
Mm.
Yeah, it's having a coach, it's like it's very personal, but it's not like anything else. It's not like a relationship or a best friend or your parents. Like it's something so unique because like you're so open. You're not always you're not gentle. not gentle either. How do I put that? You're very nurturing in your honesty. um, you know,
Yeah.
really, you're not going to let me just go, oh, no, actually, forget that I said that. No, oh, I don't want to go there. You're like, well, let's go there, and we go there because it's a space of, there's like, it's, you can just, it's safe. There's a really safe space. And I trust you so much. And that's, yeah, it's so incredible because, like I said, I wouldn't know anything. Like I'd be, why am I so unhappy?
Yeah,
So,
oh, that's so like amazing to hear. And it's just incredible to receive that testimonial. I know we're sharing this now, Amelia, but just genuinely, like, thank you so much. That is so lovely to hear. Really, I'm receiving
yeah,
it so much. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Um, Final question, maybe
Mm.
final second question, is what was the biggest difference between working one-on-one and working in the group?
Mm. I suppose, I mean, we go, I feel like we go a lot deeper personally one to one. We can focus on all the areas that's going on and, work out what's the most, I don't know, I wouldn't say important, the one, wherever. We'll say important just because I can't think of a better word. But whereas with the group coaching, it's all like bouncing off. Like someone might say something and then that will trigger something in you to be like, oh, I felt that, or I remember when I felt that, or just having that empathy for the other person and feeling, and understanding. You can learn through other people's experiences, and then how they feel and how they deal with that. So there's benefits like to both. Really, it is a different experience, but yeah, I guess
Love
that's how
hearing
I
that.
understand
Yeah. And analogy I always think about it's like the gym with a personal trainer that you'd work with one-on-one. It's probably going to be more intense. You're going to get more personalization. You're going to get results more quickly. But then in a group, you meet people, you bounce off one another. You're still
Yeah,
going to get a good workout, but it's just a different kind of setting.
yeah,
And
definitely.
like you said, I love that you said someone else will say something and it'll activate something in you. It doesn't have to be me, which is great because
Mm,
someone comes up with meditation they've done or a journaling prompt they've done or a non-negotiable they've practiced, and then that triggers you to be like, oh, that's a great idea. I'll do
yeah,
that. You
yeah,
know, it's such a wonderful thing to hear.
yeah. That's really great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is there anything else you just want to share in general, Millia, about your experience working with me in the group? Big takeaways, big wins, or anything you want to say to someone who's watching this?
um, it's very big. What do I want to say?
Yeah.
I just think so speaking to somebody who's watching this, if you really feel like it's time for something to change and shift in your life, um, and you're feeling like, because I've just really felt so connected to Jessie before we were even working together. There was this pull. So if you're feeling that, if you're curious or yeah, if there's that pull, listen to it, because it's really amazing at what he does, and holding that space on your own or in a group, whichever way you would choose. It's so safe and it's so supported. And I just, yeah, I hope that out of all of this, that I've given enough that you can understand, like, my life is not like suddenly I've got everything sorted. It's a journey. It's always going to be a journey, but having Jesse by my side, he's always got my back. And it's amazing. It's such a gift to give to yourself. Like, yeah, so 100%, if that's how you're feeling, go for it.
Thank you so much, Mills. Thank you so much for coming on here, and I appreciate your time.